quality and travels on paths, and thus swiftly attain the state of Vajradhara. Okay, let's just do the 4 limitless contemplations. May all beings have happiness and create the causes of happiness. May they all be free from suffering and creating the causes of suffering. May they find that noble happiness which can never be tainted by suffering. May they attain universal impartial compassion, free of worldly bias towards friends and enemies. Sem jendam je dewatang dewe ju tang den ba ju jik, dungal tang dungal chichu tang trawa ju jik, dungal mepe dewa tampatang mindrawa ju jik, nering chak tang ni tang drawe tang nom chempola ne pa ju jik. So, everybody, good morning, and we really are going to do the last session, the last Bardo session, and I really want you, Haladeni, to understand that the Tibetan Book of the Dead, it's called the Tibetan Book of the Dead, is a book for life, not a book for the dead, a book for life. And you need to remember that, as life is reflected in our deaths. Whatever we've done and learned with our lives is reflected in our deaths, and also gratitude. That feeling of, it's the most amazing thing that Guru Rinpoche has left us, this wonderful, wonderful teaching, okay? Karma Lingpa discovered it, and we really are lucky, because I can assure you, when I was growing up, nobody told me how to die. We were just told you were gathered up and joined with your people, but nobody told you how to do it in any way. And all of you, if you could switch on your cameras, that would be absolutely divine. Okay, I love it. If you've got your cameras on, then I can see you. So I'm going to start off with a little story of from the Hope Nation, you know, the Hopi Nation in Arizona. And I love this story. I've used it before, but I have to come back to use it. Creation said, I want to hide something from the humans until they are ready for it. It's the realization that they create their own reality. The eagle said, give it to me. I will take it to the moon. The Creator said, no, one day they will go there and find it. The salmon said, I will bury it on the bottom of the ocean. The Creator said, no, they will go there too. The buffalo said, I will bury it on the Great Plains. The Creator said they will cut into the skin of the earth and find it even there. Grandmother, who lives in the breast of Mother Earth and who has no physical eyes but sees only with spiritual eyes, said, put it inside of them. And the Creator said, it is done. Okay, very important. It's inside you. At death, when the physical body dies and the human consciousness with it dies, what are we left with? If we recognize and realize that what we've seen throughout that life are just reflection from the mirror of our minds, then it's easy to not attach and move on to the truth of all that we are. Every description we've been given in the Bardos, remember, they are always expressions of our mind coming out of ourselves. Because as soon as you want to get frightened, remember that when you die, they're all your own mind, nothing coming from outside. So why be afraid? They were always right in our minds. So there's a lovely, a little story that Zongsa gives in his book, and it goes like this. The power of the practice of aspiration is often illustrated by the traditional story about an old carpenter. There was once an old carpenter who was very attached to worldly life and to making money. Even on his deathbed, he was worrying about finding his next job and calculating the money he needed to earn from it. To his loving daughter, it was obvious that the old man was about to die, and equally obvious that he was completely unprepared for what was to come. So she told the dying man that a rich lord from a faraway land wanted and needed to commission a building. Father, you have been summoned to Sukhavati, or Devachan, that's another name, to build a palace for Lord Amitabha. The old man's first reaction was annoyance. What a nuisance that he felt so ill. It would make traveling so much more difficult than usual. Nevertheless, as he lay in bed, the old carpenter started planning Lord Amitabha's palace. But before he'd finished making a list of all the tools he would need, he died and was immediately reborn in Devachan or Sukhavati, just from planning in his mind. And he says, extremely fortunate beings who have a great deal of merit are blessed with the invaluable capacity of belief. If you are such a person, the only thing you need to do is yearn to be reborn with Buddha Amitabha in Sukhavati or Devachan. You just need to yearn for that because he's done the rest. If you start generating that longing now, by the time death finds you, he says, your aspiration will have become so strong that it will fill your mind, leaving no room for fear, panic, anguish, or anything else. If you truly believe, he says, you won't need to do anything else. The moment you die, you will immediately be reborn in Sukhavati. And remember, he says, what does this yearning and longing feel like? Imagine you are deeply in love, but that your lover lives on the other side of town. You miss him so much that you climb onto your roof just to gaze in the direction of his house and long to be with him. It's a long time since I felt that, I can tell you. Okay. This is the kind of yearning and longing you should develop for Amitabha and is an excellent way of preparing for death. And this poet Karai says, why should I hesitate? I have a travel permit from Amitabha Buddha. You all have that travel permit. It's very important. Because of Amitabha's aspiration, you have that travel permit. And when we come to the last bardo, which is what we're going to do today, it's very important if you've got that in your mind. And then I taught you all about the copper-colored mountain. You can go through that in this holiday period, really to look at it. Because for me, Karen and I, she wants to go to Devachan. I want to go to the copper-colored mountain, but it doesn't make any difference. One's on a higher level than the copper-colored mountain, because if you want to go to the copper-colored mountain, that's where you go if you really want to work for sentient beings. And I really want to work for sentient beings. And every day I give that aspiration. So it's very important. And just lastly, and then we'll go straight onto it. Anam Tupten, he says,
Mel,
yes.
Mel, can I just say something quickly?
Course.
Is that Devachan is the easiest place to go to.
Yeah.
And a lot of us, and me included, haven't got the ability yet to get to the copper-colored mountain. I'm just saying, you know, so that is also, I'm not saying I'm right or wrong, why I'm not taking the easy, I'm not taking the easy way out.
I never thought you'd ever take an easy path ever. I knew you wouldn't, but the point of the matter is that you, from Devachan, you can go to the copper-colored mountain. It's all in the same part of your heart, so it doesn't really matter if you, you know, if you're stuck, I'll definitely go to Amitabha and then go down to the copper-colored mountain, but I'm waiting. I want to write for all of you to say to you that the Dakinis must come and fetch me, and if they don't, call them, okay? Because once they fetch you, go to the copper-colored mountain. And if you all don't wake up on the way, then it's really important that you are able to still get to a pure land, which is Amitabha's land. You won't be able to get to other lands, even if you feel something, but that you can definitely get. It's very important. So I just want to tell you what Anam Tupten says about aspiration. He says, it's also nice to begin the day by setting a sacred intention when you wake up. The morning is the most important time of the day, like the window of opportunity to decide what kind of a day you want to live. Therefore, you could chant any kind of sacred liturgy, beautiful poems, or you can compose your own sacred aphorisms. A friend of mine once told me that he composed his own aphorism that he repeated every day, and his was, may I be free from self-concern. Beautiful aspiration. May I be free from self-concern. He says this is such a powerful way to transform oneself. Simple. He says, and he composed his own sacred aspirations. They're very useful when I don't have time to chant a long, thick liturgy, he says. They also give me the essentials. I use words like, may I live as a bodhisattva. May I not react to what arises from my old habits. Good thing when you wake up. May I not react to what arises from my old habits. May I be able to meet the world with courage and compassion. May I remain in awareness. Now, those are really, really important things, you know, just to make up your own. Whatever your own is wonderful. Just make it up and have it. And that's so beautiful. So we're going to leave the Bardo of Dharmata, go back and find things. And remember, if you really want more descriptions of the Bardo of Dharmata, you can go to Francesca Fremantle's book on luminous emptiness. Okay, it's really, really good. And I'm sure Corin's got it on download if you want it, or Bern's got it on download. But really, there you'll get everything that you need to get from her. And David, you sent me, I haven't had a chance to go. Is she teaching that one on luminous emptiness, or is it someone teaching, or what? I haven't listened to that. Sorry, just unmute yourself. We can't hear you.
Hi, it is Francesca Fremantle giving a talk on her book. I find it very helpful.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is, or you send back to Bern that little thing of listening to her talking on her book. I mean, isn't it amazing?
I'll post it to the group now.
Please post it, because I think it really is going to be very useful for all of you to listen to. Just keep going back to these death and dying teachings, so they're in your heart, so you don't have to think when you're dying, because when you're dying, you've got to concentrate on what you're doing, and you haven't got time to think, oh, now I'm here. You must just be wherever it is. And that we're moving on to what I've always called it the Bardo of becoming, or the Bardo of existence, or in Tibetan it's called the Sipai Bardo. Okay. And I love the fact that people are calling it now the Karmic Bardo of becoming. And this is what most people imagine what the afterlife is. We have become, in the Bardo of dying, we have a chance to recognize the Dharmakaya, okay, the pure essence. Right when the last elements come in, we've got a chance to recognize the Dharmakaya, okay? Amazing. If you have that ability, it's amazing, okay? Or the Bardo of Dharmata, where we have a chance to recognize our Sambhogakaya, the luminous expressions of the 5 kinds of awareness. So we have the chance. Always remember, everybody, that the 3 bodies, Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, Nirmanakaya, are the way the bardos happen, are the way our lives happen. And when you understand them, you can see. So from the Dharmakaya, which is the pure essence, comes the Sambhogakaya, which is the expression of all the 5 wisdoms. And if we can recognize, know, we can be liberated in Sambhogakaya way, in that level of Sambhogakaya level. Remember it. But if we miss those 2, if we faint, or if we're not aware, or if we've got somebody that's dying in our family that doesn't know anything about the teachings, then they will arrive in the karmic bardo of becoming. Okay. Now, in the karmic bardo of becoming, we form a mental body. It's very important for you to understand this, because let's examine what Anam Tupten says about a mental body, and then we'll examine how that mental body is actually formed, which is very, very interesting. So what he says, I'm just going to get that page. He says like this: it is said that the journey is not always the same for every individual. And he says, the bardo of becoming is where you will have what is called a mental body. Suddenly, you were floating in air kind of thing. Suddenly, you feel you have a body. But lots of people don't understand. This is not a physical body. Even though you feel you're able to see and hear and listen and taste, it is said that this mental body is actually very intelligent. In fact, 9 times more than we are in our lives. You can see objects at a distance, and you can have some type of clairvoyance. You can see into things. It's like a very short time that you've got this. It's not true attainment, but you've got it when you come to the bardo of Dhammata, of becoming. You feel you can travel for a long distance in a short period of time. You can even go through walls. Nothing hinders your mental body. But you have to understand it. He says, imagine you're having a terrible day at work and your boss is being terrible. And you just sit in front of your computer and you imagine this beautiful holiday that you're going to go on with rainbows and a beach and all sorts of things. He says, and you actually deep in your thoughts and you feel as though you've traveled to this place. That's what happens. It feels real. And he says, that's the rough idea of a mental body. It is also said that in this bardo, in this mental body, you are somewhat restless. And I can concur with that because of my dream. I always dream of people in this bardo of becoming. They're very restless, especially when they've left behind a lot of unfinished business, okay? And he says, he says you're a little bit ungrounded, you're moving constantly, traveling everywhere, and very nervous. Your whole being is very much in a hurry. And one of the characteristics of the mental body is that it is very unstable. It's not a stable body. When you think something, you go there. And so you must understand, if you are frightened and you've got all these things that are going on, you will just go there automatically. If you are pining for your family, you will go back, certainly in the first half of this bardo. But I want to just talk now about the whole of this bardo and what it is, and how what they say in the bardo, in the Tibetan Book of the Dead, is that every 7 days, we experience a mini death again. So probably in that time, we go through the essence, the Sambhogakaya, and then back to the Nirmanakaya, which is really, really important. Gail, you must just catch up the beginning, okay? Because otherwise you won't know what I'm talking about. So what we ask ourselves when we come, first of all, I think it's really important that you keep on using that very, very, very high, refuge prayer, which all of you should use, in which you say, I just want to get the exact thing so that I don't say it. You say, Namo, in the empty essence, Dharmakaya, in the luminous nature, Sambhogakaya, in the manifold capacity, Nirmanakaya, I take refuge until enlightenment. Now that little prayer burn, you can type it, it's very easy to type, comes from Tulku Urgyen Rinpoche. But I say that prayer every single day, okay, every day. Namo in the empty essence, Dharmakaya, in the luminous or cognizant or luminous nature, Sambhogakaya, In the manifold capacity, near Manakai, I take refuge until enlightenment. I do that before I do my prostrations because, and I think if you do that, it's amazing because then you've got those 3 kayas clearly in your mind every single day. And I think that's really a good thing before your prostrations to do that. It's really a very, very good thing. But in that bardo of existence, you are asking yourself, what am I going to become? That's why it's called the bardo becoming. What am I going to become? How much influence will my karma have? Is it real, my karma, or unreal? What do we want for ourselves? What do we want for ourselves? These are the questions, because this bardo corresponds to what most people think of as the afterlife. Okay, I know a lot of you know a lot of this, but I'm giving it to you as though I were giving it to someone who'd never heard it before. Okay, because it's important. I'm usually rushed through it. So here I've got time to expand on it really well, which is really good when you give a whole lot of series. Okay, what do we understand by the afterlife? It's when we sum up our past life, okay, and our future is decided. There's a sense in this bardo that anything is possible. The most important thing that I've been telling this woman that didn't have the teachings, and I told her, please to attend the talk today if she hears me and if she can. But the most important thing is it's possible here to take birth in any realm or state of existence. Now, we do not want that. We do not want to go to any realm. Minimum, we want to go to the human realm because that's the easiest to gain enlightenment of all the 6 realms. Maximum, we want to go to a pure land. But if you have doubts about a pure land, because a pure land isn't there, it's there right in your heart. Remember that, it's very important. And truly, if you have doubt, really doubt, if you are even singing Emaho and you're singing your Devachan song and you're calling to Amitabha, but you're going, I wonder if I'm going to get there, and you have lots and lots of doubts, then you'll be reborn in a lotus, in Amitabha's, not in a, within, like a lotus, kind of like a prison in a way. Not a prison, it's beautiful, but you won't be able to be free until the doubt, which is your thought form, is gone. You will be there, they say, you'll be there for 500 years or whatever the case is. I don't know. These are just thoughts. I'm not telling you that. I think that if you doubt and you get there and then you suddenly realize, oh my God, I've doubted, I think you can get out of there very, very quickly and out. That's my own thought. Okay. But this bardo, as Francesca Fremantle says, is where it's dominated by the law of karma. But all of you know that the law of karma is a relative law. It's only a law that applies on a relative level. One thought out of it, and you're out of the karma. You're completely out of the karma. That doesn't mean if you've killed people, you're not going to come back and pay. But the relative stuff is absolutely and totally not truth, not the truth, not the ultimate truth. So she says the consequences of our thoughts, words, and deeds take form in front of our eyes. Now, that's what people tell you in religion, that you go through this long mirror. When I started on a spiritual path, you see all your bad deeds, and they always say, like Yama, the Lord of Death, shows you in a mirror all your deeds. But who's Yama? I mean, there's no such a thing as Yama. Yama is your own conscience. When you are in this bardo, there is no way you can escape from yourself. Okay? Because you are the creator of everything you see in front of you. So there's no Yama and no person coming and saying, you're a bad girl. It's up to you to assess. But when the deeds are played out in front of you, depending on where your mind is, it can be very scary. Okay, it can be very, very scary, which I'll tell you in a few moments, because we are only seeing our own confused projections. Now, when you read all these masters on the Bardo of Becoming, it really is scary. And I don't like to teach it like that. Okay, this is my own personal preference, because I do not think that it's helpful for people to know that something's scary. I think it scares them off and they can't do what they want to do. For me, it's just to see the truth of what you became in this life. That's why I scream at people all the time. Look at your repetitive imprints. Look and examine them. See what they are and work through them so that they are done. Because as soon as you come before this Bardo, it's like everything closes off. You can see who you really are. But once you come back to this Bardo, all the negative emotions are back. So it's really good if you work hard, okay? Now, what happens in this? We can't blame anyone else, because it's our own mind reflecting our own deeds, our own actions, our own thoughts, our own everything. And that's why it's so important to actually really, really, really do this properly. Okay, now, what has happened here is, if you haven't recognized that Dharmakaya or Sambhogakaya in any of the Bardos, if you did recognize, you would not come to this last Bardo. And I say that again. If you were freed during the Bardo of dying or the Bardo of Dhammata, you transcend this Bardo. This Bardo is only for people that cannot know who they are. It is not for people who know who they are, who've worked on all their imprints and who are free, okay? We can realize from here how important it is to train during this lifetime. It's what I am doing. You know, I think what we must also do in this second half, when we start in September, is we must also have a chance for a question and answer session, because I think that then everything that's left inside you can be asked, and I can do some really basic stuff that people can understand. A lot of people say, I don't want the basic stuff, I want the advanced stuff. But if you haven't done the basic stuff, it's really scary, you know. So if we can train in the awakened mind, which all of you are doing, that's amazing, then we can see our capabilities to see the true nature of everything, okay? Because our experiences in this Bardo are dominated by our karma, and these are the unceasing appearances of the alaya consciousness. Everything that is imprinted in the alaya consciousness, it comes out in this Bardo. So we've got to understand it. And these projections of mind appear as thoughts, feelings, emotions, and perceptions of our environment and all the beings in it. They might appear as blissful apparitions or terrifying ones. So our past life habits play an important role here. And ultimately, all our visions, we've got to know, are empty in nature and not solid and not permanent. And relatively, they are confused thoughts and habits. I'm not going to give you a chance for questioning yet, because I'm going to just give you a little more, and then really you can keep your questions. I'm very happy, because a lot of people have got a lot of questions. Because we haven't recognized our true nature of mind, we spontaneously experience the three visions of light in reverse order. So when the inner elements were dissolving, if you remember me teaching you, the white from the father came down into the heart from the seed of the father. The red from the mother in the navel came into the heart. And then it was dark, and then it was the light of the Dharmakaya. Now, what happens when you're forming a mental body is the opposite way around. So the dark black, which represents ignorance, ignoring the truth. The red, which came from up here, which represents all our passions, desires, all of that. And the white, sorry, and the white, which is the aggression, all the ugly feelings that we had in aggression, we go the opposite way around. And or at that point, in order to form this mental body that I've been talking about, okay? And what happens is all our 80 basic instincts are activated again here. So it's like we had a window period when the elements dissolve, in which all our feelings, aggression, desire, ignorance, they were all gone. And now when we get here, they're all back in full force. Okay, remember that. And while at the same time, the subtle, not the coarse, form of the elements arise in reverse order to how they dissolved when we were dying. Remember, earth dissolves into fire, dissolves into water, dissolves into air, dissolves into space. Now what happens is, air comes from space, fire comes from the air, water comes from the fire, and earth from the water. It doesn't matter if you don't remember these. They just go back to front. And then we've got the mental body. Very important. We've got the mental body in this bardo, and it is determined. The mental body is determined by the karmic imprints or tendencies that we have in our alaya consciousness. These impressions create patterns which tend towards certain modes of existence, characteristics, environments. So when people start saying, you know what, Melanie, I just don't understand why I was born into this family. I don't understand why I had to go through poverty. Ever since I've been young, I've always wanted to share everything with people. And then I go, that's because you didn't before. Now you've come in with I need to share, okay? Because often when you've done the opposite of what you've done before, that's because you've got that feeling to change it when you come back. So every one of us come back, you know, there's such a fluidity of appearances that we are attracted to realms, to environments, to habits, to beings. We're attracted. And it tells you all the time, do not be attracted. Do not be attracted, because we are attracted to whatever we have become. So it's the truth of what we've done in this life. And you know, when I wasn't on a Buddhist pathway, I always knew that the truth was shown to you in the afterlife. I just thought it's somebody showing it to you and saying, this is what you've done, kind of thing, and that you could see all your deeds. But it's your own mind. And that's what's so amazing, because you've got no excuses, because it's your own. It's your very, very own. Nothing that anyone else has done to you. Okay. So the real meaning of the bardo is shown in the fluidity of appearances, almost like a moving movie, continually changing pictures. It's possible to create any form or kind of world. So we can see how important it is to stop our negative habitual tendencies and to try and stabilize our minds. So we're not flying with this that we see in front of us. We know it's impermanent, not solid. And even if we did it, we really don't want to do that anymore. We try and extricate ourselves. With an unstable mind, that mental body experiences unpredictability and is erratic, with vivid and clear experiences one moment and then forgetting everything in another moment. complete groundlessness. It's got nowhere. It just flies. If it thinks a thought, it goes to that thought. If it starts pining for its family, it's with its family again. And then people have told me when I've had dreams, but my family can't see me. And I go, that's because you are dead. Your physical body is dead. No, you're wrong. Look at my physical body. I go, it's not your physical body. It's your mental body. And you are unstable. And sometimes what they describe in this bardo, and I'm just giving it to you briefly, is the past life habits can manifest in very threatening forms. So sometimes the rainstorm signifies the past habit of desire. The wind signifies the past habit of anger. Darkness is ignorance or not knowing the truth. The noise is the combination of all the habits of conflicting emotions that frighten and disturb your concentration in this bardo. Now, I'm being quite kind and not giving you a lot of the things that they say. But of course, all these things can really, really, really push you this way, that way, the other way. It can push you anywhere. You are going to remain stable if you haven't woken up before that. A lot of you are going to wake up before that, and you are going to be able to be stable in these experiences. You're going to say to yourself over and over again, this is not true, it's relative. It's not solid. I'm in a mental body, so I am being pushed into this very, very harshly, and I can get out of it. Because remember, the energy of our karma in this bardo with the mental body comes in the form of miraculous or supernatural power. I mean, we can go through, it's not genuine attainment, but we've got clairvoyance. If people are talking about us and we wandering around, we can hear what they say. You know, if people at a funeral whisper, she was such a cow, that being, if they're hanging around at the funeral, can hear everything that people say and can see and can feel. So it's very good to try and not talk about the deceased, to try and give them light, even if you didn't like them very much, okay? But you can go through solid objects. And this can be frightening when it's without awareness, okay? And so sometimes in this bardo, we can feel as though we're being killed and cut in 1,000 pieces. But then we remember, we could just put this body together because it's only a mental body. Therefore, nothing that makes you afraid is true. So you try not to have that terrible fear, okay? Because it's a perfect, ideal body of a golden age. No footprints, no shadow, no reflection, and definitely no disabilities. So if you were blind or you were deaf or you were handicapped in any way, it's gone. Okay? Very important to understand. And our intelligence is 9 times clearer in this bardo. So it's almost like we're given a chance, a real chance to organize ourselves, to reorganize ourselves, okay? And it's really important, because we got 9 times, to not be hanging around your family, and not be hanging around if they're dishing out your possession, and not be hanging around any of that whatsoever, because it's just going to upset us and turn us upside down, and we are leaving that. We are not attached to anything. Now, let me just say, this is what they teach. In the first half of this bardo, when you ask how long are people in the bardo becoming, they talk about 7 weeks. However, weeks can be years or months. I've certainly had dreams of people hanging around much after they've died, many moons after they died, sometimes a few years after they died. And I just have that kind of, I have those kind of dreams. I don't know why. It was even before I got these teachings. I used to dream of deceased people and they couldn't leave. You know, I used to say, what are you doing? Like, I remember this old aunt of ours who was a very, let's say, proud woman, very intelligent and all that kind of thing. And then, so then we went, and I tried to tell her to go and all of these kind of things. And then I think it was a couple of years later, I had this dream. Now, she was really very ill and an elderly woman at the end. And in this dream, she was lying in her bed. And I said to her, Auntie, what are you doing? You've died ages and ages ago. Why are you still lying in the bed where you died? Remember your thought form. That was where she was safest. So she was still lying in her bed. And I said, you must go to the light. You must go to the light. It's time to go. You're not even physically handicapped now. You're free. Go to the light. And then she went. I've done it with so many people you can't imagine, because they get blocked by these things that they see in their own mind. Now, what happens is, so we can't say when about a halfway mark is, but they kind of say in the Bardo in the Tibetan Book of the Dead, that it's kind of halfway in. Suddenly, you get less interested in where you've been. But maybe for some people that can take years. I can't say. And Dzongsa says it can be years, it can be months, it can be 7 weeks, it can be a week, hey? If you're in a hurry to get into an incarnation and you've got the merit and the wisdom to get, you can get into a body a week or two later. And that's what I tell people, don't go into a body. Because if you hurry up into a body, you're just going to land up with all your stuff again if you haven't resolved it. Really important, okay? But now, halfway, we suddenly start being interested in where we're going. We're letting go of all of that. And now, where are we going? Which realm? I want to talk about that as well. Which realm? Where are we going? And remember, I told you every 7 days, we go through a little mini death. So it's kind of, again, another chance to say, hang on, you can still recognize. You probably can't be free at Sambhogakaya level, but near Manakaya level, the 3rd level, for sure, in this Bardo, okay? And, you know, I mean, it just is totally dependent. This is an individual experience, not one that you can actually say, okay, thanks, Boone, but not one that you can actually say is cut and dried. I'm just giving you all the possibilities. Does anyone want to say or ask anything? Then I just want to give you, because the most important thing in the Tibetan book is not to close the womb, not to rush into another embodiment. That's where you make your mistake. Does anyone want to ask anything, or somebody they know or experience they had or whatever? This is your chance. Please.
I want to ask you something. I know it sounds weird because I don't want to jump into a body, but assuming that you do,
Yes.
do you get to choose the body?
Very little choice. Okay.
Okay,
Depending, because remember, if you have really been a beautiful human being, and you're not aware, but you've been a beautiful human being, that Bardo experience will not be frightening. It'll be beautiful. You'll see all sorts of things. And then you really, really do have more of an opportunity of going into another beautiful life, because that's the momentum that you've actually created. But what is really, really, really important is that we do not rush into a human body, because some of us have the merit to go into a human body, but we still can free ourselves into a pure land. That's a part I want you to listen to when you finish, okay, because it'll be on there. But we can go to a pure land, not into a body. Remember, going into a body is even if you want to go back to help lots of people, much better to do it from Devachan or from the copper-colored mountain, where you will be in a situation where you can just emanate, not go into a body. Once you're in a body, then that's it for you. You've got to take the circumstances. You've got to wake up out of that. So it's much, much easier not to be in a rush, to really take your time in this bardo, but not to be unstable. That's why these Dharma teachings tell you to try and develop a stable mind. But a stable mind is not everything. A lot of people can do shamatha, calm abiding meditation. And I know a lot of these get born in formless realms where there's nothing. They're in a state of nothing. Shamatha is nothing except to calm your mind so you can look in, so you can see what is there, not just to have a calm mind. What's the point? That was Tulku Urgent's instruction, where he came to this this uncle or whoever he was in his life, and he was very busy. You know, they came, and the uncle was so happy to see him. He's a very respected Lama. And then the uncle went to make tea. And as he was coming back from the tea, he froze. He froze with the teacup. So everyone said, what should we do to Tulku Urgent? He said, leave him. Don't touch him. And he stayed like this. And Tulku Urgent knew he was in shamatha meditation, unable to do anything, completely in a formless, blank state, which is of no use at all. And by the afternoon, he shook this uncle or this person who was visiting, he shook him up. And then this person woke up and said, oh yes, we're having tea. And Tulku Urgent said, you were serving us tea at 10 o'clock in the morning, and now it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. He just missed. We don't want to go in a blank state. We want to have stability, but we want to look in the stability to see what our nature of mind is about. Do you all understand that? So rushing into a body because we're scared is really a useless thing. So it says in the Tibetan book, there's still a chance at any point to attain liberation from this bardo by meditating on the form of one's chosen deity or guru. Now, if you have a deity practice that is really, really very important to you, like I have my practices with Tara and Guru Rinpoche, those are the deities that I really feel the qualities in my own being. Now, when you do the practices, like go and read, I told them, read the English of Guru Rinpoche's puja. When you do the practices, if you come into this bardo and you identify with Chenrezi or Tara or Guru Rinpoche or whichever of the deities feels like your qualities, you can still be liberated to the level of that deity, because it's really important that we are quiet and we rest in undistracted meditation, but knowing who we are, not just formless, because then there are formless realms you can be born in. There's absolutely no point. So training our minds in this lifetime is really, really, really important. And also what's important is that the 6 realms, the lights of the 6 realms will be very attractive to you if your negative emotions relate to that realm. So in other words, the white light of the God realm, people who've lived their lives in this pretentiousness and this living it in the material world and being beautiful and Botoxing themselves and all kinds of things, they will be very attracted to the white light of the God realm. Those who are jealous all the time of other people, they will see the light of the jealous God realm. Okay, if the blue light of the human realm, I'm going to tell you about that in a moment, the green light of the animal realm, where you've just denied everything in your life and you just go into an animal body, the yellow light of the hungry ghost realm, and the smoky light of the hell realm. If you've spent your whole life in anger and persecuting people and grudges and all of that kind of thing, you will automatically be in a hell realm, because you will be seeing your own mind there. There won't be a choice of it. And they tell you, they lure us with all the force of our karmic tendencies and our habitual responses. But we are told not to be attracted to these lights, to stay still and just try and remember, oh, I have this pure Buddha nature. And I remember that Amitabha took upon himself the beautiful, beautiful purpose of allowing us to go there. Let me focus on this and go to Amitabha's pure land rather than rush into a womb. Because in a womb, you're there, you've got to go through the whole life. And in Amitabha, you've got a big chance of doing many, many things. If you really feel that, you can awaken. So we need to rest in equanimity, but very open, instead of being led by our habits. So what it tells you, I'm just going to do this, and then we're going to do a lovely meditation. And you can ask.
Can I just ask you something
Of course,
quickly
of
before
course.
I forget?
Yes.
You know, you're talking about these different lights from these realms.
Right.
But also, and correct me if I'm wrong, I probably am. You've also spoken about when you die, there's going to be beautiful light.
Okay.
The colors that you've never seen before.
Right. Those are different. Okay. They are
Okay,
different.
so how do you distinguish?
Very, very easily, because if you've been doing the work that I'm talking about, okay, that Bardo of Dhammata, those are the most vivid, magnificent colors that you will ever see, okay? These colors of these other realms are very, very pale and not very strong, okay? And you know that those are the ones that take you into your habitual form, okay? But in the Bardo of Dhammata, a lot of people, Gail, are very scared when they see this. But I know that those when I first saw some of those lights when I was in India, I didn't know what, I told you, I didn't know what to do with myself. I was running around the room and going, oh my God, I've never seen color like this. It's so magnificent. I don't know what to do with myself, when I saw those lights. When I was in India, I haven't managed to see those lights when I'm at home, But when I had Taisitu's momentum to help me, I've seen them occasionally. But you train yourself. You want to see what this is all about. That is your higher level, your Sambhogakaya, and the colors are vivid and magnificent, whereas these colors are very pale and they lure you in, okay? Why? Because you're used to that from your physical coarse body, okay? It's really important that you understand, and I'm happy you're asking that, okay? But just quickly, because I want to have time for your questions and to do it. I can't believe that I had this whole session and I still haven't finished, because so many things come to me. Oh my God, Melanie, keep quiet a bit and then you'll finish. Okay. But what is important here is that at this time, we are advised to close the womb door. Okay. Cutting off the mental condition required for entering a womb. How? By transforming our perception and our attitude towards that womb. There are many detailed instructions. You can go to the Tibetan Book of the Dead. You can go to Francesca Fremantle's book, and you'll see lots of these things, okay? Because what you want to do is, if you are sitting in this bardo and something in you says, I know that I need to be born in the human realm. There are lots of things here that I need to have a chance to change, and I need to be born in the human realm. It's very, very important. Then you want to be born in an area where the Dharma is flourishing, not in an area where there's no teachings on the true nature of mind. Now, what it tells you in the Tibetan Book of the Dead, you can take your time, you can go and read Francesca Fremantle, you'll find all of this, that if we look at our own universe, right in the middle is Mount Meru, the high mountain. And around it, I'm sorry I haven't got my book here, are 4 continents, 4 different continents. Now, 3 of those continents where you can be born as a human being do not have the Dharma flourishing. What she says is, the human realm has 4 continents in 4 directions around Mount Meru. So she says the eastern and western continents have wealth and happiness, but little Dharma. Only the southern continent, corresponding to our world, has conditions that support the Dharma. If we have karma to be born there, she says we'll see luxurious houses and we should enter them to find our future parents. So if you're going to be born as a human, try and see that you go into the southern continent where you will have opportunity to continue with this teaching, not any of the other continents. That's why it's so important not to rush into a womb. Now, they give you all the instructions for closing the womb. You can get them from the book, you can get them from anywhere, but they said, if you are now looking for parents and your 2 parents are making love, try and embody them, try in your mind and make them embodied as the guru in male or female form. And this changes our attitude. We feel intense devotion and we ask for teachings instead of simply escaping into the womb. Or meditate on the couple that your energy is taking you towards as the chosen deity and consort, and we make offerings to them. Or turn away passion and aggression by contemplating their dreadful influences. We don't want to go into a couple that are fighting or whatever the case is, and lots of passions and things like that. You don't want to be there. Meditate on the unreality of all our experiences. The entrance is closed because there's no sense of an individual to be born. Choosing the best possible real rebirth, it is important to see where there's the best opportunity for learning and practicing the Dharma. The human realm is best, but only in certain continents, as I've explained. The best protection is the Mahamudra meditation on the emptiness of whatever appears. But if we can't rest there, we need to try and understand the illusory nature of everything and watch without being drawn in. And when this bardo ends, we either take birth in one of the samsaric realms, or for those who can liberate the minds, they still have the opportunity to be born in higher realms, because at some point we need to make the discovery that ultimately mind transcends death. And if sitting there with the possibility of wombs being open for us to go and be reborn in, if we know, like I sing I sing Devachen's song every day. I sing it every day, okay, every single day. So I could just sing it. I know it well, and I could just sing it, and I would totally whoops into Amitabha's land. You don't even have to know this song. You could just have that aspiration, but try and say that aspiration every day. If you really think, in your mind that you want to be born there, try and have that aspiration. I do not want another human incarnation. It's too limiting. I want to be born in a pure land, and from the pure land, I want to learn the Dharma properly, and I want to be able to help and serve. Have that aspiration, as I started off by telling you what a Nam Tupten's thing. Because remember, when you're dying, in that moment in time, you want to be quickly able to get into whatever it is that you need to get into. You don't want to be thinking, what am I doing now? Where am I now? You want to just, it must be automatic. I knew these teachings before this life. I really, really did. I can remember so clearly that a bereaved person, I remember a bereaved person was sent to me, and immediately I started explaining death and dying. And I had dreams from a very young age of people dying. I always knew. And then I was catapulted into it and started talking to people about it without ever having read or discovered it. It's something so near and dear to me that it's really, really, really important that I can share with you what I feel, because you have to change your mind. Yes, Betsy. Did you want to ask something? Please. No. Oh, you don't want to ask. Okay. It's really important, this. Really, really important, because to be born in Devachen, if you are doing it, but it is important if you want to be born there, to do Chenrezi Puja, to do Amitabha Puja, to do these things. Burn, have you got that prayer you wanted to give of Amitabha's thing? But so if you've got it, then they can all take it. But just do me a favor. Let me just see if there are questions, and then let's do a meditation, and then let's quickly look at the prayer. Because now I'm rushing again. I had a whole lot of other things to tell you, but now there's no time. So just give me your questions or your doubts or your feelings or anything, and then let's do a meditation on this bardo, and then let's look at the prayers. Because the prayers, there are many prayers for you to go and be reborn in Devachen. And if I were you, I would really do these prayers all the time. I really, really would. I've got another thing on. So anybody want to ask a question? Anyone? No? You want to, Mimi? Go on.
Yeah, Mel, I don't really want to take the time now because it's very late, but I was told that I would die in my sleep, basically. Now, will I just see all this? What will happen?
How will I be able to?
But I won't be able to consciously do all these things we've been talking about.
Doesn't matter. You know what? If you die in your sleep state, it's supposed to be a very grace thing for humans, but it's really important for you to understand that when we die, it's your habit momentum. When we reborn, it's your habit momentum that gets reborn. Dzogchen Ponlop says, he asks the question like Shakespeare, to be or not to be. Okay. If you die in an airplane crash or something where the elements just dissolve in 1 minute, or your sleep state where you're not aware of it, you probably would be aware of it in your sleep state anyway. You've got to be able to tune in the minute you wake up. The minute you realize you're there, you are there, Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, Nirmanakaya. What we're talking about in this bardo is that we want to be a Nirmanakaya, someone who comes into embodiment, if we do, with great aspiration to help and serve. The Nirmanakaya is that special body that always wants to help us and serve. That's why I started off by saying your aspiration in the morning. May I always help all beings. May I not get waylaid by all my habits. Figure out your own aspirations. May I wake up. If you have got the habit of waking up, you will always wake up, Mimi. Wherever you are, you will wake up. You will probably already go. If you die in your sleep, you will probably go straight away to wherever your aspirations are. Just aspire to be born in Devat Chen. You know, visualize Devat Chen, how you see it in your mind. Accumulate merit and wisdom during your lifetimes. Every time you are serving and helping, you're accumulating merit and wisdom. And have a constant aspiration to be born in Devat Chen, and trust me, you will, for absolute sure, no doubt. Okay. Now, don't worry about that, okay? It's just really important that we try and put ourselves into a pure state of being, which is really important. Now, Edith, for you are remembering all this. You're not learning it, you're remembering all this. So your work has got to be to just wake up and remember, okay? And try, all of you, not to do this through physical, intellectual means, to just feel it in your hearts, what you feel. There are these three bodies. I do them every day. I take refuge in my three bodies. Once you have that, you're already connected with that higher being. You're already connected with your true nature. So start bringing these just little things into your life all the time so that it's easy for you. Let's do a meditation, okay? And let's just do a little meditation, and then let's just look at if you were in the bardo of, let's make the meditation that you are in the bardo of Dharmata, and I'm around somewhere or another, and we get together, okay? What am I going to tell you? What am I going to say to you? Okay, it's really important. So always, every day, this is in terms of the Bardo teachings, breathe in that beautiful blue sky, okay? It's not the color of the sky. It's vivid. That's Dharmata, the beautiful sky-like absolute freedom. The difference between ordinary sky and the Dharmata is that the Dharmata is filled with pulsations of awareness. It's not just space. It's pulsations of awareness, which are this vivid blue sky. Wherever you are, and particularly if you get ill, breathe in this magnificent vividness of the absolute Dharmata, where there is space for everything. Your ugly things, your beautiful things, no difference. Dharmata is not at all in any way discolored or anything by any of your things. And as you breathe out all your negative things. And in fact, all the feelings, just let them be. Let them go into the Dharmata, which is spacious, open. Let them go into the Dharmata. Let there be that beautiful purity. And then you breathe in again. And that's who you are. That's what you're taking with. Your true, exquisite nature of mind, Sem Nyi, that never gets distorted by any of the things going on in your life. Anyway, let's say that you haven't managed to wake up in the bardo of dying. You haven't managed to recognize, re-know your true nature. You haven't managed to do that. And when it came to the bardo of Dhammata, you were a little afraid and you fainted and you didn't manage to release yourself. I don't think any of you will not manage. I think you'll all be able to release yourself into one of the beautiful states of awareness when you see the vivid colors, the vivid families, and all is, remember, all your angers, your jealousies, your ignorance, your pride, it's all transmuted in this. And you haven't managed. And now you wake up in the bardo of becoming. And you are there, quite shocked that you haven't woken up before, but remembering, I must be stable. I'm now in a mental body. My mental body can go anywhere. I'm not going to go back home where I came from. I'm not going to go back to see what everybody's doing. I'm not remotely interested. You might even decide to go to one of the lamas and just say, hi, I've arrived, help me. You might decide to do anything you really want. I would definitely go and say goodbye to Lama Yeshe Rinpoche and Taisitu Rinpoche if I was in a mental body. And now, in this mental body, you are stopping because in front of you are all your karmic imprints. So there are quite a few that are not so great. The times you bore grievances, the times you were horrible to the people in your life, the times you were a bit abusive, but there are also the beautiful times, the times that you came to groups, the times that you studied the Dharma, the times that you helped people, the times that you went to the soup kitchen to really see that everybody is clear. So there are lots of good and lots of bad and lots of neutral things in front of us. And we are now facing our future. We know not to be attached to the past and all the people in our past lives. We think of them with great fondness. We love them. We loved our children. We might have loved our husbands. We might have loved our partners. We might have loved certain people. You might have loved different people that you were on the Dharma path. Just think of them fondly, but know that it's all temporary, transient, and that all of this in front of you, whether there are rainstorms, whether there are winds, whether it looks a little bit frightening, remember, I am in a mental body. That means nothing can harm me. I am in a mental body. That means everything I'm seeing comes from my very own mind. And where do I want to be? I want to be in a safe place where all that learning of the Dharma is so clear in my mind. I think I'm going to go to Amitabha. I'm not even going to come to the point where I've got to close the womb door. I think I'm just going to go to Devachan. And you might give your aspiration. The reason I want to go to Devachan is because I want to be where I can study the Dharma, where I can see all the masters, where I can do everything that I need to do, and where I can serve and carry on my journey. And so when you are in this bardo, being blown about, left, right, and center, no, this is just a state of mind. And for the same price, I could be in a stable state of mind and awaken where I really, really want to be. to carry on my teaching, to carry on my service. And even then, when all the very, very pale realms beckon to you, you know not to go there. If you really do want a human incarnation, you remember to go to the southern continent where you will be able to continue your learning and your true nature. Everything is about absolutely the connection with your true nature. There's nothing else for you, not your children, not your past life, not your possessions, not how much wealth you have, not what they're doing with it, none of those. You are just open to go back to Amitabha and be in a pure land in your mind. And if not, to find an incarnation without rushing in, to see the parents where you seem to be attracted as the deity and the consort, or the guru and the consort, but to know not to rush into that, to be stable and calm. Well, those are the Bardo learnings. Burn. Those that have to go, I know Marion said she had to leave at 11:30, but I want you to just put up that long Chempa prayer that we did in the beginning, because that's a wonderful prayer that you should do every day. It takes you not even a half a second. And that's a very, very, very important one if you can do that, Burn. Okay? So that one, when my time has come and impermanence and death have caught up with me, when the breath ceases and the body and mind go their separate ways, may I not experience delusion, attachment, and clinging, but remain in the natural state of the Dharmakaya. I would do that every day, and Burn can see it. I do it every day, every single day. And if you've got the Devitt Chen, then please, Burn, just give us that prayer, and you can all get it from her. Is it a long one, that one? Any of the prayers are fine, because it's really important. Okay, this is the poor. Okay, this is beautiful because you can do this even in the Bardo of becoming. Through your blessing, grace, and kindness, this is to Amitabha, through the power of the light that streams from you, may all my negative karma, destructive emotions, obscurations, and blockages be purified and removed. May I know myself forgiven for all the harm I have thought and done. May I accomplish the profound practice of power. You can still do it when you're in this Bardo, and die a good and peaceful death. And through the triumph of my death, may I be able to benefit all other beings, living or dead. I pray to you, Amitabha, with strong devotion. Bless me to perfect my training in the profound path of transference of consciousness. And you can add there, to be able to reach you from this Bardo of becoming. And yeah, but don't put that, I wouldn't put that in, because that's how it is. Doesn't matter. Okay, to be able to reach you in this process of my death, or in this process of becoming, that's fine. Bless me to reach the unexcelled pure land. May I attain the supreme state of the Dharmakaya, the ultimate sphere, and I pay homage to Buddha Amitabha. It's beautiful with the picture. You could do that every day. And you know what, everybody? Thanks, Boone. You can send that or put that up for them to get. But can I just say something to you? That you can make up your own prayer. You don't even have to do these prayers. You can just make up your own prayer. May I be born in Devachen, or in Sukhavati, it's also called, or may I be able to reach that point. You can make up your own things. It's absolutely fine. But the important thing is that you've got that motivation, and that you know that Amitabha has taken upon himself the ability to allow us to come even when we haven't quite made the attainment. The only time you can't go is if you've killed anybody, you know, that kind of that kind of karma, then you can't get there. But all of you, no matter what you've done, you can purify your negativity from Devat Chen. You can absolutely purify it. And that's why it's so good to do Chen Rezi Puja. It's a very, very good one. And if you want it, I've got it on my phone. I can send it to you. Bern's got the teaching of it. I mean, the words. It's just lovely. It takes you 15 minutes to do. And it's a wonderful, wonderful way of actually doing it. And these are things all of you can do. And text me whatever you really want. Okay? Because we'll only meet again in September, the beginning of September. I think it's the 2nd or something like that. And okay, Mim, and I'm going to, let's just dedicate to all sentient beings, especially those in the bardos. I'm going to use one of Nam Tupten's beautiful things you could put on the bardo prayer, the ending prayer. But he says, in the end, let's remember how beautiful this human life is. When one is struck by sorrow, life feels too long, but when joy bursts forth, life feels too short, like watching a sunset that will dissolve at any moment. Now and then, when our mind is in the right state, life becomes unbearably beautiful. You may be sitting with your loved ones, perhaps classical music is playing, perhaps some music from Swan Lake, clouds are drifting in a valley, a candle is burning on the table, as if a spirit is dancing. Then one may feel how precious and beautiful this human life can be. Regardless of the situations we go through, if our heart is courageous enough to open, the beauty of life can be found in almost any moment. Even death is a part of that beauty, whether it's one's own death or the death of a loved one. Death is not separate from life, but is part of life. Knowing this, everything, birth and death, can be embraced by our heart. And may all sentient beings be able to embrace it, especially those that have died in tragic circumstances. They're not true. They're impermanent. Sonam diye tamche zipane topne nepe dranam pamshene jegana chibana dropai sipe do varsho. So I'm going to end that, and then anybody